I met Jacob. I worked at Voice of the People from 1981 to 1984.
Hi, I'm Luz Martinez, and thank you to Voice for inviting me and letting me be part of Sweet Home Uptown.
Hello, my name is Tom Clark. I came to Voice of the People in 1974 as an intern trying to finish my college career at Loyola.
I'm Rohrbeck. I presently work as a national underwriter for Local Initiative Support Corporation, or LISC.
I came to Voice in 1981 as a member of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps for what I thought would be 1 year in Chicago before going on to grad school. And now, 40 years later, I'm still here.
There was a camaraderie, there was so many races and cultures in Uptown, and everybody just got along so very well. Going with Grandma and going with them and just going to visit all the different people, going to get people together. And he remembers being in the demonstration, being in Indian Village and everybody camped out and
That's great.
He used to share those stories with me. He was proud of that, because he felt like he helped, I helped so that we don't get kicked out, so that we can have low-income housing.
We did a women's empowerment kind of mini conference. There was that bonding, and women themselves were in this very strong leadership.
I grew up pretty much in Voice of the People's buildings. Well, I think from my family's perspective, because my grandmother was so vital in the early days, I think we kind of felt like we are Voice of the People,
And I remember my mom used to tell me too, she used to say that the Black Panthers used to come to the house and they used to...
That would be me. Me and Mark Kaplan. Go ahead.
Yeah, she said they would literature, and they would bring food and just different things, sharing. And she was like, yeah, they just come over, we chit chat,
When I first arrived at 4927 in Kenmore, we all worked in the basement office at that time. That building included a couple African Americans, American Indian, folks from West Virginia, and Hispanic. So the whole range. And of course, half the families would come down, many times a day. Asking about things, or the kids would come down after school and do their homework with us. And so actually it was, in many ways, it was pretty fun to be in that location because you really did get to know a number of the tenant families.
I was newly married, newly moved to Uptown, and I was intrigued by the idea of trying to improve and build affordable housing for families. I was impressed by the history that had been laid out by Irene Hutchinson and, of course, the passion of Ann Harper as we moved from a tenant organizing group to one that began doing management of apartment buildings and eventually development.
The time I was at Voice in the early 80s, Voice had begun doing housing development. But I don't think Voice ever forgot its roots in organizing, in community empowerment, and an understanding that it wasn't really housing development that was the heart of the work. It was empowering the community.
It was just family. It was just our extended family getting together, putting in the work, doing what needed to be done.
The tenants were very much involved in the protecting of different low-income housing units, even if they were not Voice.
Since Voice basically requires participation of all the tenants, and more than half the board is made up of tenants, that people are often meeting, often taking leadership in making decisions and voicing their opinions on things, but that people get to know each other, but also have to, in that process, respect each other.
It also exposed all of us children and adults to different cultures, because we were a melting pot.
As a former executive director of Voice, it warms my heart that the mission of Voice continues.
A new chapter begins as Voice of the People continues to manage and develop almost 200 units of housing. With a changing population, more tenant services are going to be required, and we're looking for you to help us start the next 50 years. Sweet Home Uptown is an opportunity for choice, for families to have decent homes, even in an improving neighborhood like Uptown. because after all, housing is a right, not a privilege.
I wish you much success, not only with this fundraiser, but with all your plans for Voice. Mabuhay.
It's home.
Yeah.
Uptown's home.